Hello and welcome. So, continuing on with my Bond reviews with a film that I'm now on to, the third Sean Connery film. A little film that I've always believed fans love it, the critics loved it, generally film goers and just general audience alike love this film, and that is obviously of GoldFinger. I can't convey how much I absolutely just adore this film. So, you know, I'm not going to lie, this review is going to be literally nothing but just love for this film. So let's begin, shall we, in 1964's GoldFinger. James Bond. Yes, we are now, for me, I believe, the film of Bond, of Sean Connery's Bond, very much so, where he is at his best in GoldFinger. I can't convey how much I just adore Sean Connery in GoldFinger. There is some moments, sadly, that he does, which, you know, this is the problem with some of the old films. You do look at it with modern eyes, and sometimes you kinda, I guess, shouldn't, but there is moments, like with him and Pussy Galore, and then the moment with Dink at the start of the film, but, you know, apart from that, overall, I just absolutely just adore Sean Connery, and he really shows some great acting, I think, here. Specifically for me, I think the very famous laser scene, I think he shows a great mix of scared but trying to still be tough, which I quite like, and there's moments, there's very small moments we ever get from James Bond of that kind of, you know, he's trying to still be cool, but deep down he is very quite scared of the situation that he's in. But, you know, overall, I just absolutely adore Sean Connery in this film. And I love the opening sequence, which I'll talk about in a moment, of that white suit. It's so beautiful, that white suit. I love it. The Bond girl. Yes, the main Bond girl with the most amazing name ever, I think, of a Bond girl's name, of Pussy Galore, played by Honor Blackman. And for me, I think she is one of the, I would very much say she is up there in the great Bond girls for me, you know, because the reason why I like her very much so, and it's a bit like with the one I quite liked in the previous one, is the concept of she kind of has her own story, she has her own arc, and I kind of like that. It gets a little bit boring a little bit in future Bond films where the whole, oh, is she bad, is she good, you know, for me it gets a little bit, I don't know, but overall, you know, I absolutely just, I think she plays it so, you know, she's really quite tough, and, you know, she can stand up for herself, and she's a really good character just generally on her own, and I quite like that, because sadly, and it seems more in the Roger Moore era, I always feel, with the Bond girls, where they're just, you know, they're there for show, sadly, you know. And I think that's a little bit of a shame, and I think when you can get really great Bond girls like Pussy Galore, I think that's always a plus for me. But of course there is the another Bond girl, very much known for the iconic scene of being the Golden Girl, and the scene is just fantastic, really. I just want to quickly say of when Jill Masterson is covered in gold paint. It's so, I think it's the music for me precisely I just love about this scene. Yeah, it's just so good. It works so well. The editing of it, which for ones I actually quite like in these films so far. Just overall for me, I really quite like the way they filmed it, you know, I really like it, and, you know, for a Bond girl that wasn't in it long, she manages to get such an iconic moment, and it's really stayed with through the whole Bond film series. Bond villain. Now, of course, the Bond villain, there's only one Bond villain you're going to talk about, really, here. Of course, there's another one, which I'll talk in a second, but the main one is, obviously, GoldFinger, and I think he is the quintessential Bond villain for me personally. You know, he kind of has a bit of exactly what every Bond villain kinda should have, well, at least maybe the business style, I guess, more, because you see, like, certain ones, Jonathan Pryce's villain I always kind of feel has a little bit of the GoldFinger kind of edge to him, I would say, maybe a little bit less sheaf as well, possibly, but, you know, overall, for me, and I like the fact, it's quite amazing, actually, when you find out that the actor that played GoldFinger, Gareth Forber, couldn't actually speak much English, and that's not his voice whatsoever, and I think that's quite something, because it oddly matches really quite nicely, well, you know, but of course there's one scene of GoldFinger, for me, you know, obviously, it's iconic, it's great, it's superb.
Expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
It's just so iconic, that line he says, it really is fantastic. But of course the other villain that we should talk about is of course Oddjob, which again, like for me, like Goldfinger, I think Oddjob, it becomes the quintessential henchman really for the many future Bond films. We see it loads of times. We see it with Jaws, you know, we saw it recently with Mr. Hanks and Spectre, you know, it keeps going on, and I'm very much cool with that. I think he has a great little, you know, little gadget with his hat, and I really like it. I like that stuff. The gun barrel sequence. Yeah, once again with the gun barrel sequence, very much similar like the previous three. It's still Bob Simmons so far. This is the last time though with Bob Simmons, which we'll find out in Thunderball why. And it's one thing I just want to quickly say about this actually Bond gun barrel sequence. I very much oddly like the Bond music that John Barry does. For me, very nice. Pre-title sequence. Now, for me, I always quite like this pre-title sequence. I love what the director described the sequence as a lovely bit of nonsense, and I think that's just fantastic. You know, they just wanted a little mission that had no connection to the actual film whatsoever, and I really liked it because, once again, much like the villain and the henchman in this film, this gives you the feel of this is the more, right, okay, this is what you're going to get in the pre-title sequence more often now. And, you know, I love it. And especially, I just want to have a low, already talked about it, but God, that white tuxedo is just so beautiful. I love it. It's so just, you know, the funny thing about that white tuxedo, he doesn't wear it much, he doesn't wear it really much at all, but yet it seems to be one of the most iconic, you know, suits. Maybe that's the thing, don't use things, I guess, much. It's going to be more iconic, I guess, maybe, possibly. The title sequence. Yes, for the title sequence, I quite like, obviously, the gold that's all through and all that, and I like, we get scenes of the actual film within the bodies of the women and all. I quite like stuff like that, though some things I don't particularly like. I don't know, some things I still don't find clear, I guess, but I much prefer it from Russia With Love. From Russia With Love I found almost quite jarring, actually, to be honest, a little bit, some of the things for me personally. Flirting with Moneypenny. Yes, once again, just another kind of like scene here with Moneypenny and Bond. Not really much you can say up on this one. I do quite like, there's one little thing I want to quite quickly say is I do quite like when she actually chucks his hat to her. For me, I find that quite cute, really. Scene with Q. Yes, now this is the really big scene for me, and I really wanted to talk about this scene because this is obviously, it's again, you know, it's the first scene where we're going to see more of this. You know, if you like this, if you like seeing Bond going to Q and, you know, funny stuff happening in the background, you're going to get a whole lot of it because that's what's just going to happen, really. And I like it. I like it. I think it's nice. It's when Bond goes to get, you know, his gadgets and all that, and I like that kind of stuff. But of all the things, obviously, this scene is really known for is that the car. It's so beautiful. I love how the camera goes down. I really just adore it. And just a little bit of a kind of quick little nugget here. Does anyone else just love how when Q starts talking and just I love the way Sean Connery acts here. Like, he looks so bored. I love it. The Bond car. Yes, the Bond car. Everyone knows what the Bond car is in here. The Aston Martin DB5. You know, Batman has the Batmobile, James Bond has the Aston Martin DB5. It is his car. It's the most iconic car, not just even in Bond films, just in general, in film. It's just so well known and loved. I love it. I think it's absolutely just fantastic, personally, to be honest. I really do. I'm so glad we get more of it. And, you know, it's back, I guess, you know, in recent years. for me personally, not used greatly at certain points, but come to that at some point. But, you know, in this film, it's so beautiful in Switzerland as well. It looks so gorgeous. I just love it. Allies. Now for me, I'm just going to talk about one ally for me personally, and that is of Felix Leiter, once again played by a different actor, which we're going to get a lot more of, because sadly Jack Lord didn't come back, which I think is a little bit of a shame, because I kind of like Jack Lord a little bit, but to be honest, I'm not going to lie, I also quite like the guy that plays Felix Leiter in this film, because I think he seems to have quite a good connection, better connection with actual Sean Connery and Bond in general. I don't feel Jack Lord had that. Maybe that's because that was the first time they met, so you're not going to get that. But, you know, overall, I think it's a bit of a shame he doesn't come back as well. I kind of wish he did a little bit. The action. Now, I know of all the complaints of GoldFinger has had, the action is actually the one that gets a little bit of a beating, and I can understand it a little bit, because it's not as action heavy. Truth be told, like, a lot of people always go on From Russia With Love is quite light in action. I actually think there's more action in From Russia With Love than there is in GoldFinger, to be honest, because, you know, that train sequence alone in From Russia With Love nearly, you know, I don't think the action in GoldFinger really competes to anything that actually happened in From Russia With Love, sadly, to be honest. You know, I do like, you know, some of the stuff, don't get me wrong, but I don't think in GoldFinger, I think that's maybe my only little problem I have with GoldFinger, I don't think there's that one kind of, you know, that big action kind of bit. I mean, yes, you could say Bond versus Oddjob and when he chucks the hat, and yes, okay, but for overall me, I just don't feel too great on the action for me. That's my little kind of nitpick, I guess I would say. Locations. Yeah, well, good couple of locations here we've got in this film compared to the previous two. First of all, Switzerland, which just looks absolutely gorgeous in this film. I really love Switzerland and this film. I think they really make it look just great. And the DB5, I've already said it, it just looks really beautiful. And also we go to America as well. Quite a lot of stuff actually in America, you know, because we're in Miami at first, the first kind of sequence to start where Felix gets Bond, as well as later on when we go to GoldFinger's ranch, which I quite like that he has a ranch. I like that. I think that's nice little bit of kind of, you know, showing the money that he has and stuff like that. I will always appreciate detail of stuff, you know, and that kind of caliber. I always quite like that. You know, and also we go to the big location of the third act of Fort Knox, which I'll talk a bit more in a minute. And overall, you know, I'm liking the locations. It's starting to show where, you know, the previous two were kind of just like, it was more just the one location and that was kind of it. And now we're getting more kind of, you know, you're getting the 2 or 3 or even 4 sometimes locations in the one Bond film. Sometimes I don't like that, if I'm honest, because I don't think you get enough character of that kind of location personally, but in this one I think they do well so far. The climax. Yes, the climax set in Fort Knox, I think it's really well done. I like the kind of the planes and all that, Pussy Galore's flying folk, because that's clearly what they were called. And I like the whole gas, but actually turns out Pussy Galore was actually against Udrick Goldfinger, and I quite liked all that kind of stuff. And you know, people could argue it's not as action packed as someone would say, and I would agree it's not. But I love the bomb, you know, and I think it's quite cute that it ends on 007. I think that's a nice little kind of, you know, if that was in the cinema and if I was there with a big crowd, we probably all would be quite, you know, laughing. You know, that's the point, you know, and I like that kind of stuff. Yeah, but, you know, overall, I like it, you know, it's not, you know, huge and big over the top, but it doesn't need to be sometimes. I like that, you know, and I always will support that very personally. The music. Yes, John Barry comes back once again, and I think he's getting better and better so far. For me, specifically, I love the tracks Bond Back in Action, because I still actually, I literally listened to it the other day, I keep listening to it. I just love some of the notes he uses in this film for me personally. I think he does a really good job. He knows when it's supposed to be tense, he knows when it's supposed to be fun and exciting, and I think he does a really good job here. And for that show's singer for the title sequence, or Shirley Bassey or GoldFinger, I am a little half and half about the song, I'm not going to lie, because it's one of those songs I only listen to when I watch the film. Because, see, when you try and wear your headphones and listen to that song, it's a bit loud and it's not really, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I would actually rather listen to Sam Smith's Writing on the Wall because it's a little bit more soothing. I prefer that. Or a little bit more, I prefer more the upbeat, I guess, but hers is, I like Shirley Bassey, don't get me wrong, you know, it's a classic song, it is great, but just, I wouldn't pick to listen to it if if I had to pick the Bond songs, and I do, I like to like sometimes listen to the songs, I wouldn't pick, you know, Shirley Bassey's Goldfinger, if I'm honest. It's a bit too loud for me. So yeah, overall, I absolutely adore Goldfinger. I think it is one of the greatest Bond films. I try so hard to, and I did it with this, I was going to do it with this review, I try so hard to, like, almost nitpick, but I find it so hard. Like there is a couple of things. The action is very limited, I guess. But, you know, I don't think that's the biggest problem. I think there's worse problems, really, than that. In general, other films, for me, you know, I can survive with, you know, not that much. But, you know, overall, there's great characters, there's great pace to it, which I think From Russia with Love kind of suffered a little bit, if I'm honest. You know, the villain's great. Like, Sean Connery is on top form in this film. I think he is just, in terms of Bond performances, this is one of the best. Like, you know, if you had to maybe pick one film of each kind of Bond that has been, this is going to be it for Sean Connery, because he really is just fantastic. He's cool, he's suave, he's fun, he's exciting, he's really cool. And you can see that he's really embraced it as well, Sean Connery. It's really nice to see. And, oh, that car as well, oh, that car, it's so great, it really is. But yeah, you know, I can't say any more. I absolutely just adore Goldfinger. I think it is one of the greatest Bond films. I know for many people it's started to kind of slip down, especially with Casino Royale coming out, which I would kind of agree. I'd actually put Casino Royale above Goldfinger, if I'm honest. But, you know, I just absolutely love it. So what do you guys think? Comment down below. Do you love Goldfinger? Do you hate Goldfinger? Do you not mind Goldfinger? Please tell me down. Comment down below. More videos up in the future. Coming up next will be Thunderball. So until then, see you later.